What's more dangerous, the big stick or the big lie?
The government doesn't lie, it engages in disinformation.
Yeah, that's right! You see, the whole system is rigged!
Greetings, my friend.
In today's on-the-spot assignment, we're going to see just what's behind the making of movies.
Propaganda is everywhere. It's on billboards and protest signs. It's in books and magazines. It's most definitely in our news media and advertisements.
We're all secretly terrified by what's happening, aren't we?
But it's also in podcasts, music, and video games. It is an age-old form of communication that is, whether obvious or subtle, completely ubiquitous in our past, present, and future. Oh, and did I mention that it's in our movies? Because it totally is. It's impossible to discuss propaganda in film without knowing exactly what it is.
Propaganda is to democracy what violence is to a dictatorship.
The term gets thrown around a lot, and usually in a way that belies its true meaning or scope. So let's take things back to basics. Let's start with a solid foundation that we can build on. Okay, well, propaganda is a form of communication that is used to attain a goal. It's a mobilizing message that, more often than not, bypasses reason. An emotional call to arms, if you will. In its most straightforward and simple incarnation, it is a psychological technique used to influence.
What do you mean thought control? I make up my own mind. I create my own destiny.
As a concept, propaganda is neither good nor bad. If it has a negative association for you, this is most likely due to historical and modern malpractices. But it's important to understand that, as a communication technique, it is inherently neutral. It's a gun. It can be used for good or for evil, but the thing itself has no intrinsic nature. The assignment of goodness or badness is often a result of observational bias. Many people see propaganda as a political message they disagree with, but rarely recognize it when it aligns with their own beliefs. And let me cut you off at the knees. Yes, this video is propaganda. It is my personal opinion, my own biased dissemination of the concept. I am speaking to you with a particular goal in mind, which is to inform you of the nature of propaganda, and specifically how it is used in the film industry to manipulate audiences. The only possible way to avoid being labeled in this way would be to present you with nothing but cold, hard facts. But even that method isn't free from scrutiny, because the question then becomes, which facts did I present you with? And which facts did I omit?
You may also believe that the facts have been exaggerated.
Facts are not propaganda, but the method in which they are presented and used certainly can be, and usually is.
Now, if you ask what media can I turn to get the right answers, first of all, I wouldn't tell you that because I don't think there's an answer. I mean, I could tell you what I think happens to be more or less right, but there isn't any reason why you should pay any attention to it.
The point I'm trying to make here is that every social, cultural, and political movement relies on propaganda. Every small business, every corporation, every news outlet. There is no world in which it doesn't play an omnipresent role. It is an art form in and of itself, combining words and images to elicit emotion and action. It is woven into the very fabric of communication and can be true or false, beneficial or harmful.
But when the fit hits the shan, somebody's going to have to stay after school. Who do you suppose that might be?
There is no escaping the all-encompassing grasp of propaganda.
It means you have to develop an independent mind and work on it. Now, that's extremely hard to do alone.
Its Cthulhu death grip cannot be avoided or destroyed, but there is a way to undermine its influence. Buried within the many forms of propaganda are psychological and communication techniques, message marketing methods that have been used repeatedly due to their effectiveness at manipulating the masses.
Jesus, I mean, suppose something like that, like caught on down here.
Learning to identify these techniques is the first step in understanding and, more importantly, reducing the impact of the propaganda machine. These techniques may lend themselves to certain mediums more than others, but all of them should be instantly recognizable to anyone who consumes information on a regular basis. And yes, this is just a small sample of the myriad techniques employed through propaganda. I would encourage you to do further research and become well versed in the subject.
Or don't. I don't give a shit.
But these examples should help get the ball rolling for you. Card stacking is the presentation of selective information. It is messaging that contends with only one side of an argument. Focus on the positives and ignore the negatives, or vice versa. Card stacking is a cornerstone technique of marketing and advertising, and of most documentaries.
They're not making that up, are they?
No, they're not making it up, but they're choosing what they're covering.
Now, the
elite media are the sort of the agenda-setting media. That means the New York Times, the Washington Post, the major television channels, and so on. Local media more or less adapt to their structure.
The frequency or placement of information is often more important than the information itself.
They determine, they select, they shape, they control, they restrict in order to serve the interests of dominant elite groups in the society.
A topic that is covered frequently and prominently will be seen as more important. The major studios in the movie industry use this technique, often without even being aware of it.
Put a chicken in and make her name it gay!
When they decide which movies will get made. Now, the only thing worse than no information is too much information.
Quite a bit to go through, more than 3 million pages, 2,000 plus videos, and in terms of the number of images, more than 180,000.
Information overloading is the act of bombarding someone with so much information that they disengage and become passive.
Despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country.
Demoralization refers to any propaganda directed at an adversary in an effort to erode morale and encourage surrender or defection.
It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. This is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students exposed to the ideology of the enemy. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him.
Traditionally used in war efforts, demoralization can also be used within the confines of political or cultural warfare. Transference is the practice of using symbols and imagery to assign a positive or negative association to something. For instance, having a politician wave a flag to appear patriotic, or holding a Bible to appear devout. Everyone else is doing it, why aren't you? Bandwagoning is all about using the popularity of something to convince you to join in. It appeals to our desire to be a part of a group or tribe, to belong to something. The appeal to authority, or testimonial, uses a notable figure's endorsement to earn your trust.
I'm an influence, a wielder of opinion, a force.
It can be a celebrity or an expert or an authority figure of some sort, but the basic idea here is that you should do XYZ because this trusted voice also does XYZ.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Better known as the plain folks or common man technique, slumming is the practice of using ordinary people to make an idea seem relatable.
They don't always tell, I guess, John, they don't always tell the truth the way it goes, huh? You got that right.
This can be done by co-opting the voices of ordinary people or by trying to make someone seem like they're just one of the boys, so to speak. AKA the ad hominem technique. You know, name calling.
You know, vilification is a wonderful technique. There's no way of responding to it. If somebody calls you, an anti-Semite, what can you say? I'm not an anti-Semite. Or, somebody says you're a racist, you're a Nazi or something. You always lose. I mean, the person who throws the mud always wins because there's no way of responding to such charges.
These are bottom-of-the-barrel attacks that seek to assign a negative association to someone or something. They are used to provoke fear, anger, or disdain. This is the act of blaming someone or something for problems they did not cause. Scapegoating is the more aggressive cousin of stereotyping, which reinforces or challenges societal stereotypes to influence an audience.
Anger does well, hate does well, violence does well. Tolerance and understanding and trying to learn to be a little different than you were last year does less well.
And these two techniques often work hand in hand.
Quite an experience to live in fear, isn't it?
Comply, or something bad will happen. It's as simple as that. Divine retribution, financial repercussions, threat to personal health or well-being.
You're watching the news, you're being pumped full of fear, there's floods, there's AIDS, there's murder, cut to commercial, buy the Acura, buy the Colgate. If you have bad breath, they're not gonna talk to you. If you got pimples, the girl's not gonna fuck you. It's a campaign of fear and consumption. Keep everyone afraid and they'll consume.
The forced choice can be either the lesser of two evils, in which you are given the choice between two bad options and must choose the one that is the least bad, or it can be an example of the black and white fallacy, wherein you are given two options, one desirable and one undesirable. Both oversimplify complex issues and only offer the illusion of choice.
I think much of the general population recognizes that the organized institutions do not reflect their concerns and interests and needs. Really meaningful democracy would mean that I play a role in forming those decisions.
Glittering generalities is the use of vague, emotionally appealing language that evokes positive feelings or values.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
Like fluffy shit that lacks substance. Also known as the loaded language technique, the appeal to prejudice uses words or phrases with strong emotional implications. For example, is that person a freedom fighter or a terrorist?
Well, if crime fighters fight crime and firefighters fight fire, what do freedom fighters fight?
Are they fighting against the government or the regime? The soft language technique uses euphemisms to soften hard words and phrases to make them more digestible.
And American English is loaded with euphemisms.
Downsizing instead of firing. PTSD instead of
shell shock. 2 syllables. Shell shock. Then a whole generation went by, and the Second World War came along, and the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. Shell shock. Battle fatigue. Operational exhaustion. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll bet you if we'd have still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time. I'll bet you that.
George Carlin has a great bit on this. I highly recommend checking out some of his specials for comedic insight on a number of propaganda-adjacent topics. The repetition technique, sloganeering, repeating messages or ideas until they become ingrained. Repeating messages or ideas until they become ingrained. Repeating messages or ideas until... Okay, well, yeah, you get the idea. Like I said, this is just a small sample of the techniques used to manipulate audiences. But now that we have a rudimentary understanding of the tools, we can start to see how they are used in media, specifically within the film industry, to sway public opinion.
It's almost like a controlled experiment in which we are the subjects.
To win hearts and minds. The purpose of propaganda in movies is to persuade people to entertain and adopt ideas, or to motivate them to take action. The stereotypical propaganda film is one that has been produced by a government or political party, but it's important to note that a movie doesn't have to be made or funded by a government or political party in order to qualify as propaganda.
Let me ask you a question.
Have you ever seen a biopic that paints its subject in an overly favorable or unfavorable light? Have you ever watched a documentary that omits facts in order to prove an argument? Have you ever watched anything with product placement?
Contractor, no. I will not bow to any sponsor.
Have you ever been subjected to cultural or political messaging? It's a trick question because of course you have. We all have, whether we were aware of it or not.
Don't be naive.
Sometimes it's overt, sometimes it's subtle, but it's always there. The core elements of propaganda are embedded in the very fabric of filmmaking.
Something stinks here.
Movies use images, music, and storytelling to manipulate our emotions. They propagate perspectives and beliefs. They attempt to sell us a story, an ideology, or a product, and they do it all under the guise of entertainment.
Haven't you heard? Don't you watch TV?
This isn't to say that every movie is equally propagandistic or nefarious. There are obviously different levels of manipulation, created from different intentions, either consciously or unconsciously. But understanding how films are a perfect vehicle for propaganda will help you recognize their persuasive tactics. By examining the techniques and scrutinizing the media we consume, we can develop a literacy, an understanding of the most powerful form of communication our world has ever known.
The point is that you have to work. And that's why the propaganda system is so successful. Very few people are going to have the time or the energy or the commitment to carry out the constant battle that's required. The easy thing to do, you come home from work, you're tired, you've had a busy day, you're not going to spend the evening carrying out a research project. So you turn on the tube and say it's probably right.